much lower than it was before you quit. 9. Make sure you have someone with you if you decide to again. Remember that relapse is not a sign that you have failed. The first thing to do when you realize you have relapsed is to understand what happened. Understanding why you relapsed is often one of the most important parts of truly overcoming substance use disorder. Once you understand your triggers, you can put things in place to reduce the chance of relapsing again. You can then apply what you learned from the first time you quit or cut down to be more successful next time. 5 relapse triggers and how to prepare for them. Tips for overcoming an addiction. Quitting is a different experience for everyone. Some people find it empowering. Others find it painful, difficult, and frustrating, sometimes needing many attempts before achieving their goal. Still, others discover new sides to themselves during the quitting process, a greater capacity for compassion. For example, there is no right way to feel while you are quitting. However, if you are feeling depressed or find yourself constantly wanting to return to the addictive behavior, you should seek support treatment. Anticipate changes in relationships. Your relationships and friendships are likely to change as you overcome your addiction. It may take time to appreciate a new normal. However, it can also take time and effort for trust to be re-established if you have hurt friends or family while you were actively involved in your addiction. Strengthening positive relationships with the supportive people in your life can play an important part in your recovery and continued abstinence. 12. Avoid repeating addictive behaviors. Addictive behaviors have similar neurological and psychological process and create rewarding feelings and sensations, so replacement addictive behaviors are common among those trying to overcome an addiction. 13. Focusing on finding rewarding, healthy strategies that support your long-term recovery. 5 distractions. Look for things that will help occupy your time and keep your mind off of drug cravings. Even simple things, talking to a friend, watching a television show, reading a book, or going for a walk can provide a sufficient distraction while you wait for a craving to pass. Treat co-occurring mental health conditions. The other important aspect of avoiding replacement addictions is to address any underlying mental health problems. Substance use commonly occurs alongside the mental health conditions. Research has found that of the 20.3 million adults in the US who have a substance use disorder, 37.9% also have another type of mental illness. 14. Addiction can cover up past trauma or underlying feelings of emptiness, sadness, or fear. Psychological therapies, as well as medications, can provide long-term relief for these problems, which addictions tend to worsen over time. How to stay sober? Both from very well. There is no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to addiction recovery. Lifestyle change, behavioral therapy, medications, and mutual support groups may all play a role in your treatment, but it is important to find the approach that works best for your needs. Long-term recovery is not a final destination but rather an ongoing process of facing and coping with life without retreating into addictive behaviors. It takes continuous commitment, which can waver at any time, particularly times of stress. Seek help when you need it. Others in recovery or professionals who work in addiction understand that you still in addiction coping and recovery. How long does withdrawal from nicotine last? What to expect hours, days, and weeks after quitting? By Elizabeth Hartney, BSc, Master of Science, MA, PhD. Elizabeth Hartney, PhD. Elizabeth Hartney, BSc, Master of Science, MA, PhD. Elizabeth Hartney, BSc, Master of Science, MA, PhD is a psychologist, professor, and director of the Centre for Health Leadership and Research at Royal Roads University, Canada. Look about our editorial process. Updated on March 21st, 2024. Medically reviewed by Stephen Gans, MD. One of the biggest fears for people who want to quit smoking is going through nicotine withdrawal. The withdrawal process can be unpleasant, and people often experience symptoms such as irritability, cravings, and weight gain. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Managing withdrawal. But with the right tools in place, you can overcome these symptoms and make your next attempt at quitting a success. Man covering his face with both hands. Your Sabalay Getty Images. To expect during nicotine withdrawal. Nicotine withdrawal is a normal physical and emotional reaction to rapidly quitting or significantly reducing your nicotine intake. It usually happens when you drastically reduce or stop smoking after you've ingesting nicotine every day for at least several weeks. Your body and brain adapt to nicotine you take in regularly through smoking, chewing tobacco, snuff, or using a nicotine patch, gum, or other nicotine replacement therapy, NRT. Your body learns to expect a certain amount of nicotine each day and reacts with unpleasant symptoms without it. For many people, daily intake of nicotine also becomes part of how they manage their emotions and affects both how they relax and how they keep themselves alert. When nicotine is suddenly absent, you tend to get nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Studies show about half of all smokers report experiencing at least 4 withdrawal symptoms when they quit. How long does nicotine withdrawal last? Even without medication, withdrawal symptoms typically last between a week and a month. The first week after you stop is the worst, and after that, the intensity of the symptoms tend to drop over the next month. The period of withdrawal depends on various factors, such as how long and how heavily you've been smoking. Nicotine withdrawal timeline. People usually have several symptoms after they quit using nicotine, which is what makes nicotine withdrawal so unpleasant. If you prepare yourself and find ways to address them you will increase your chance of success. Here's what you can expect in terms of symptoms of withdrawal in the hours, days, and weeks after you quit smoking. Hours after quitting. Withdrawal symptoms are the most severe and acute immediately after you stop using nicotine. Some of the symptoms you might experience during this time include an urge to smoke. This urge may be particularly strong during the times of day you usually have a cigarette. Increased hunger. Nicotine can be an appetite suppressant, and smoking also interferes with your senses of taste, and smell, so some people use smoking as a snack substitute and as a way to try and control their weight. You may find your appetite begins to return after giving up cigarettes. Tingling in the hands and feet. Nicotine can flood vessels throughout the body, so you may feel tingling sensations as circulation begins to improve. Difficulty sleeping. Symptoms of withdrawal may make it more difficult to sleep, particularly the first night or two after quitting. How to deal with withdrawal symptoms. Days after quitting. Once you make it past the 24-hour mark, you will continue to experience unpronounced nicotine withdrawal effects for several days. Nicotine cravings. Most people withdrawing from nicotine experience intense urges to smoke. These urges are known as cravings, common among people withdrawing from many addictive substances. 6. Anxiety and restlessness. The anxiety you feel during nicotine withdrawal can range from feeling on edge to feeling fearful or even panicky at the thought of facing the future without the calming effects of nicotine. This state of anxiety is heightened during nicotine withdrawal for people who are prone to anxiety in general. 7. Irritability. This mood change can range from feeling irritable or frustrated to feeling angry. Ideally, while you're in the throes of nicotine withdrawal, you should try to give yourself plenty of space from others, as you may end up treating them in ways they don't appreciate or deserve. Depressed mood. People often feel depressed or have a low mood during nicotine withdrawal, at times known as a dysphoric or depressed mood. It is important to remember that mood changes are normal to nicotine withdrawal, and they don't necessarily indicate that anything is wrong. Sore throat and increased coughing. As the lungs begin to heal, you may find yourself coughing to expel harmful compounds from the body. Sleep problems. Difficulty sleeping, also known as insomnia, is quite common during nicotine withdrawal. Daytime exercise, particularly outdoor exercise that exposes you to sunlight and help you feel more relaxed and sleepy at time. 9. If you quit nicotine cold turkey, nicotine withdrawal usually peaks in the first 3 to 7 days after quitting smoking. It may take your body up to a month or more to return to normal, depending on how long or how heavily you were smoking before you quit. Weeks after quitting. After the first week, you will notice a decline in the intensity of withdrawal symptoms over the course of the next weeks. Symptoms you may experience during this time include occasional but manageable cravings. You may still crave cigarettes from time to time, but you will find that these cravings are less intense and easier to control. Low mood. It's important to remember that you are also processing the loss of activity you enjoyed and may have helped you cope with your mood. Many people feel some grief at losing the pleasure they felt from smoking. This is a natural part of the process of overcoming your addiction to nicotine. It will eventually turn to feelings of acceptance and then liberation. Drug. Difficulty concentrating. Like most stimulants, in the short term, nicotine can help mental focus. 11 In contrast, when you're experiencing nicotine withdrawal, you find it difficult to concentrate without the stimulating effect of the drug. Recap. Nicotine withdrawal symptoms are worse addiction, alcohol addiction, coping and recovery. Gradually in severe. What medications are used to treat alcoholism? By Buddy T. Buddy T. Buddy T is a writer and founding member of the online Al-Anon Outreach Committee with decades of experience writing about alcoholism. Because he is a member of a support group that stresses the importance of anonymity at the public level, does not use his photograph or his real name on this website. Learn about our editorial process. Update December 12, 2023. Medically reviewed by Stephen Gass. Mad addiction, alcohol addiction, coping and recovery. What medications are used to treat alcoholism? By Buddy T. Buddy T. Buddy T is a writer and founding member of the online Al-Anon Outreach Committee with decades of experience writing about alcoholism. Because he is a member of a support group that stresses the importance of anonymity at the public level, he will not use his photograph or his real name on this website. Learn about our editorial process. Updated on December 12, 2023. Medically reviewed by Stephen Gass, MD. Thanks to years of research, doctors and health professionals now have multiple options to treat alcohol use disorders. One building on this press, scientists continue to work on the development of new medication and are discovering new ways to improve the effectiveness, accessibility, quality, and cost-effectiveness of treatment. According to research, medications seem to be a positive part of the most effective combination for the treatment of alcohol use disorders. It's so underused as a treatment method. With less than 1% of those seeking help for alcohol dependence receiving a prescription, medication is utilized. Medication for alcoholism can offer patients an advantage for their recovery, especially in a real-world setting, says Mason. Combined study. A study published in 2006 followed more than 1,300 study participants at 11 academic locations over a 3-year period to determine what combination of treatment, medication, and counseling was the most effective for treating alcohol use disorders. 3. The combining medications and behavioral interventions for alcohol dependence, combine, study used some surprising results when it revealed that one of the newer medications used for the treatment of alcoholism failed to improve treatment outcomes on its own. 3. As shown in Combine, no single medication or treatment strategy is effective in every case or in every person. After 16 weeks, the Combine study showed overall positive outcomes for study participants. 3. All groups studied substantially reduced drinking during treatment. The overall percentage of days absent tripled, from 25 to 73%, and alcohol consumption per week decreased from 66 to 13 drinks, a decrease of 80%. Patients who received medical management plus either Revia or Vivitrol, naltrexone, or specialized counseling showed similarly improved outcomes of alcohol abstinence, 80%, compared with patients who received medical management and placebo pills, 75%. Patients who received Revia or Vivitrol reported less craving for alcohol. Adding either Revia or Vivitrol or specialized alcohol counseling to medical management almost double chance to do well. Antabuse, disulfiram. Antabuse, disulfiram, was the first medicine approved for the treatment of alcohol use and alcohol dependence. It works by causing a severe adverse reaction when someone taking medication consumes alcohol. Most people who take it will vomit after a drink of alcohol. This, in turn, is thought to create a deterrent to drinking. 4. Disulfiram was first developed in the 1920s for use in manufacturing processes. The alcohol-aversive effects of antabuse were first recorded in the 1930s. Workers in the vulcanized rubber industry who were exposed to tetraethyltherum disulfide became ill after drinking alcohol. 5. In 1948, Danish researchers tried to find treatments for parasitic stomach infections, discovered the alcohol-related effects of disulfiram. They too became ill after drinking alcohol. The researchers began a new set of studies on using disulfiram to treat alcohol dependence. 5. Shortly thereafter, the FDA approved disulfiram to treat alcoholism. It was first manufactured by Wyeth Laboratories under the brand name Antabuse. Initially, disulfiram was given in larger doses to produce aversion conditioning to alcohol by making the patient very sick if they drank. Later, after many reported severe reactions, including some deaths, antabuse was administered in smaller dosages to support alcohol abstinence. 5. Naltrexone. Naltrexone is sold under brand names Revia and Depade. An extended-release, monthly injectable form of naltrexone is marketed under the trade name Vivitrol. It works in the brain by blocking the high that people experience when they drink alcohol or take opioids like heroin and cocaine. 4. Naltrexone was first developed in 1963 to treat addiction to opioids. In 1984, it was approved by the FDA for the treatment of use of drugs such as heroin, morphine, and oxycodone. At the time, it was marketed by DuPont under the brand name Trexon. In the 1980s, animal studies discovered that naltrexone also reduced alcohol consumption. Human clinical trials were in the late 80s and early 90s. These showed that when combined with psychosocial therapy, naltrexone could reduce alcohol cravings and decrease relapse rates in alcoholics. 4. The FDA approved the use of naltrexone to treat alcohol use disorders in 1994. DuPont then renamed the drug Revia. The combined study found that, when combined with a structured outpatient medical management intervention consisting of 9 brief sessions conducted by a healthcare professional, the alcohol deterrent medications Revia and Vivitrol, naltrexone, and up to 20 sessions of alcohol counseling were equally effective treatments for alcohol. 3. These results demonstrate that either naltrexone or specialized alcohol counseling, with structured medical management, is an effective option for treating alcohol dependence, said Mark Al. Willenbring, MD, Director, Division of Treatment and Recovery Research, National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Although medical management is somewhat more intensive than the alcohol dependence interventions offered in most of today's healthcare settings, it is not unlike other patient care models, such as initiating insulin therapy in patients with diabetes mellitus. Camprol, a camprosate. Camprol, camprosate, is the most recent medication approved for the treatment of alcohol dependence or alcoholism in the US. It works by normalizing alcohol-related changes in the brain, reducing some of the extended physical distress and emotional discomfort people experience when they quit drinking, also known as post-acute withdrawal syndrome, that can lead to relapse. In 1982, the French company Laboratoires Meron developed camprosate for the treatment of alcohol dependence. It was tested for safety and efficacy from 1982 until 1988, when it was authorized for use by the French government to treat alcoholism. It was first marketed under the name Aotil. 4. For more than 20 years, a camprate was widely used throughout Europe for treating people with alcohol use disorders. It was not approved for use in the US. In July 2004, it was first marketed in the United States in January 2005 under the brand name Camprol. Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, incorporating alcohol pharmacotherapies into medical practice. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, US, 2009. Camprol is currently marketed in the United States by Forest Pharmaceuticals. The combined study found that combining another alcohol deterrent drug, a camprosate, with the medical management program did not improve outcomes. Camprol did not perform better than the placebo or dummy pill. This finding stumped researchers since previous studies performed in Europe using Camprol had yielded positive treatment outcomes. The Sinclair method. In 2001, Dick Sinclair, PhD, a researcher in Finland, claimed an 80% cure rate for alcohol dependence when anti-alcohol drugs Revia or Vivitrol are prescribed according to his Sinclair method. Dr. Sinclair's research has been published in the peer-reviewed journals Alcohol and Alcoholism and the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology. The Sinclair method is the standard treatment protocol for alcohol dependence in Finland. The method is all used in the UK, but the method has yet to come in the United States. With the Sinclair method, people only take Revia or Vivitrol before drinking and never otherwise. 6 Revia and Vivitrol are not like other anti-alcohol drugs that cause sickness and hangover sensations when taken with alcohol. The change in behavior only appears over time. With the Sinclair method, Revia or Vivitrol is taken 1 hour before drinking alcohol. At the end of 4 to 6 months of treatment with the Sinclair method, 80% of people who had been overusing alcohol were either drinking moderately or abstaining entirely. 6. The way this process works is when people normally drink alcohol, endorphins are released into the brain, and this reinforces the behavior of drinking alcohol. Revia and Vivitrol block the feel-good endorphins. Much like when pack dogs were presented with food when a bell was rung, these dogs became conditioned to salivate at the sound of the bell alone. However, these dogs continued to be presented with the ringing bell and no food. The salivating stopped. It is believed that the main reason the Sinclair method has caught on in the US is twofold. In the US, 12-step programs based on abstinence seem to make treatment plans prescribed by doctors, and doctors do not like that. The Sinclair method encourages people with alcohol dependency problems to continue drinking. 6. If you or one are struggling with substance use or addiction, with less than 1% of those seeking help for alcohol dependence receiving a prescription, medication underutilized. Medication for alcoholism can offer patients an advantage for their recovery, especially in a real-world setting, says Mason. Combined study. A massive study published in 2006 followed more than 1,300 study participants at 11 academic locations over a 3-year period to determine what combination of treatment, medication, and counseling was the most effective treating alcohol use disorders. 3. The Combining Medications and Behavioral Interventions for Alcohol Dependence (Combine) study produced some surprising results when it revealed that one of the newer medications used for the treatment of alcoholism failed to improve treatment outcomes on its own. 3. As shown in Combine, no single medication or treatment strategy is effective in every case or in every person. After 16 weeks, the Combine study showed overall positive outcomes for study participants. 3. All groups studied substantially reduced drinking during treatment. The overall percentage of days absent tripled, from 25 to 73%, and alcohol consumption per week decreased from 66 to 13 drinks, a decrease of 80%. Patients who received medical management plus either Revia or Vivitrol, naltrexone, or specialized counseling showed similarly improved outcomes of alcohol abstinence, 80%, compared with patients who received medical management and placebo pills, 75%. Patients who received Revia or Vivitrol reported less craving for alcohol. Adding either Vivitrol or specialized alcohol counseling to alcohol management almost doubled the chance to do well. Antabuse, disulfiram. Antabuse, disulfiram, was the first medicine approved for the treatment of alcohol misuse and alcohol dependence. It works by causing a severe adverse reaction when someone taking the medication consumes alcohol. Most people who take it will vomit after a drink of alcohol. This, in turn, is thought to be a deterrent to drinking. 4. Disulfiram was first developed in the 1920s for use in manufacturing processes. The alcohol-aversive effects of antabuse were first recorded in the 1930s. Workers in the vulcanized rubber industry who were exposed to tetraethyltherum disulfide began after drinking alcohol. 5. In 1938, Danish researchers trying to find treatments for parasitic stomach infections discovered alcohol-related effects of disulfiram when they too became ill after drinking alcohol. The researchers began a new set of studies on using disulfiram to treat alcohol dependence. 5. Shortly after, the FDA approved disulfiram to treat alcoholism. It was first manufactured by Wyeth Laboratories under the brand name Antabuse. Initially, disulfiram was given in larger dosages to produce aversion to alcohol by making the patients very sick they drank. Later, after many reported severe reactions, including some deaths, Antabuse was administered in smaller dosages to support alcohol abstinence. 5. Naltrexone. Naltrexone is sold under brand names Revia and Depade. An extended-release, monthly injectable form of naltrexone is marketed under the trade name Vivitrol. It works in the brain by blocking the high that people experience when they drink alcohol or take opioids like heroin and cocaine. 4. Naltrexone was first developed in 1963 to treat addiction to opioids. In 1994, it was approved by the FDA for the treatment of use of drugs such as heroin, morphine, and oxycodone. At the time, it was marketed by DuPont the brand name Trexan. In the 1980s, animal studies discovered that naltrexone also reduced alcohol consumption. Human clinical trials followed in the late 80s and early 90s. These showed that when combined with psychosocial therapy, naltrexone could reduce alcohol cravings and decrease risk rates in alcoholics. 4. The FDA approved use of naltrexone to treat alcohol use disorders in 1994. DuPont then renamed the drug Revia. The combined study found that, when combined with a structured outpatient medical management intervention consisting of 9 brief sessions conducted by a healthcare professional, the alcohol deterrent medications Revia and Vivitrol, naltrexone, and up to 20 sessions of alcohol counseling were equally effective treatments for alcoholism. 3. These results demonstrate that either naltrexone or specialized alcohol counseling, with structured medical management, is an effective option for treating alcohol dependence, said Mark Al. Willenbring, MD, Director, Division of Treatment and Recovery Research, National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Although medical management is somewhat more intensive than the alcohol dependence interventions offered in most of today's healthcare settings, it is not unlike other patient care models such as initiating insulin therapy in patients with diabetes mellitus. Camprol, a camprosate. Camprol, a camprosate, is the most recent medication approved for the treatment of alcohol dependence or alcoholism in the US. It works by normalizing alcohol-related changes in the brain, reducing some of the extended physical distress and emotional discomfort people can experience when they quit drinking, also known as acute withdrawal syndrome, that can lead to relapse. In 1982, the French company Laboratoires developed a camprosate for the treatment of alcohol dependence. It was tested for safety and efficacy from 1982 until 1988, when it was authorized for use by the French government to treat alcoholism. It was first marketed under the name Aotil. 4. For more than 20 years, a camprosate was widely used throughout Europe for treating people with alcohol use disorders. It was not approved for use in the US. until July 2004. It was first marketed in the United States in January 2005 under the brand name Camprol.4, Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, incorporating alcohol pharmacotherapies into medical practice. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, U.S., 2009. Camprol is currently marketed in the United States by Forest Pharmaceuticals. The combined study found that combining another alcohol deterrent drug Camprol, a camprosate, with the medical managed program did not improve outcomes. Camprol did not perform better than the placebo or dummy pill. This finding stumped researchers since previous studies performed in Europe using Camprol had yielded positive treatment outcomes. The Sinclair method. In 2001, David Sinclair, PhD, a researcher in Finland, claimed an 80% rate for alcohol dependence when anti-alcohol drugs Revia or Vivitrol are prescribed according to his Sinclair method. Dr. Sinclair's research has been published in the peer-reviewed journals Alcohol and Alcoholism and the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology. 6. The Sinclair method is the standard treatment protocol for alcohol dependence in Finland. The method is also used in the UK, but the method has yet to join in the United States. With the Sinclair method, people only take Revia or Vivitrol before drinking and never otherwise. Revia and Vivitrol are not like other anti-alcohol drugs that cause intense sickness and hangover sensations when taken with alcohol. Change in behavior only appears over time. With the Sinclair method, Revia or Vivitrol is taken 1 hour before drinking alcohol. At the end of 6 months of treatment with the Sinclair method, 80% of people who had been overusing alcohol were either drinking moderately or abstaining entirely. 6. The way this process works is when people normally drink alcohol, endorphins are released into the brain, and this reinforces the behavior of drinking alcohol. Revia and Vivitrol block the feel-good endorphins. Much like when Pavlov's dog presented with food when a bell was rung, these dogs became conditioned to salivate at the sound of the bell alone. However, when these dogs continued to be presented with the ringing bell and no food, the salivating stopped. It is believed that the main reason Sinclair method has not caught on in the US is twofold. The US 12-step programs based on abstinence seem to dominate treatment plans prescribed by doctors, and doctors do not like the Sinclair method encourages people with alcohol dependency problems to continue drinking. 6. If you or a loved one are struggling with substance use or addiction, what to do if you're anxious right now? Here are 9 ways to cope with anxiety. Bar Lindbergh, Ed, updated on March 31st, 2023. Everyone goes through periods of feeling anxious or worried. After all, it's a normal human experience. Having tools to help you calm your mind and body can reduce intensity and duration of these feelings. Here are 9 strategies that can relax your mind, ease your anxiety, and help you regain control of your thoughts so that you can feel better. 1. Understand the connection between anxiety and depression. While not a specific strategy, understanding the connection between anxiety and depression can help you determine what you are dealing with is temporary or a sign of something more serious. According to Leela McGarvey, MD, a psychiatrist and regional med director for community psychiatry, anxiety and depression are intertwined and frequently exacerbate each other. Part of the reason, she said, is because the same neurochemicals are implicated in both conditions. More specifically, Julian Lagoe, MD, a psychiatrist with community psychiatry, explained that since decreased serotonin causes both depression and anxiety, it's common for someone with depression to also feel anxious at the same time. That's why it's critical to acknowledge feelings of anxiety, share them with an expert, especially if you've been diagnosed with depression or are showing signs of depression. 2. Acknowledge your anxiety. Acknowledge when you feel anxious allows you to take steps to ease the symptoms. The first step is to accept that you cannot control everything. To do this, the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, ADA, recommends putting feelings of stress or anxiety in perspective. 1. How to acknowledge your anxiety. When you have an anxious thought that won't go away, ask yourself, is it really as bad as I think? Take yourself through the process of breaking down the thought before jumping into the worst case scenario. If you still answer yes, ask yourself the following. How do I know that this is true? What is the evidence? Can I frame the thought into a more positive or realistic scenario? What are the chances the thing I'm worried about will actually happen? What is the worst possible outcome? How bad is this, and can I handle it? This exercise is helpful for people who deal with chronic anxiety and worry. 3. Schedule a worry break. It may sound counterintuitive when looking at strategies to help you find relief from anxiety, but allowing yourself a short worry break can free up your energy to focus on the task at hand. How you set this up depends on your routine. How to take a worry break. One way to take a worry break is to schedule a chunk of time later in the day, maybe 15 minutes after dinner, to go through your worries for the day. Earlier in the day, you can write down any worries or anxieties that creep into your mind. Then, give yourself permission to deal with them later. It allows you to go about your day while still acknowledging that something is bothering you. Later, when you go over the worry list, make sure to set a timer. Review what you wrote, identify any thoughts that are still causing anxiety, and cross off those that don't seem important anymore. Allow yourself a few minutes to sit with each concern. Worry time. The benefits of scheduling time. Stress. 4. Interrupt your thoughts. When negative thoughts or worries run through your head, it can feel like there is no way to turn them off. One strategy to try is interrupting your anxious thoughts by doing something else. While it might not work every time, you may find that taking a break from overthinking can lead to fewer intrusive thoughts throughout the day. Here are techniques to try. Engage in an activity. Get outdoors and take a walk. Write them thoughts down in a journal. Keep your hands busy by drawing, knitting, doing a puzzle, or building something. Negative automatic thoughts and social anxiety. 5. Practice mindfulness meditation and relaxation. Mindfulness meditation, relaxation, and breathing exercises can help calm your mind and body, which may allow you to feel less worried. 2. Plus, it only takes a few minutes each to feel a difference. Use this time to be aware of what's going on in your mind and body. Start with 5 minutes a day and work your way up to mindful moments several times a day. To help you get started, listen to a guided meditation or record breathing exercises. Once you feel comfortable with the practice, you will find more focus and awareness throughout the day. 6. Engage in diaphragmatic breathing. Engaging in diaphragmatic breathing and registering bodily cues could help you better understand your emotional response to stress, according to McGarvey. Many people who experience anxiety find it helpful to partake in guided body scan meditations while breathing really and deeply to identify how each emotion triggers different sensations in their body, McGarvey said. You can use this information to think about how to respond verbally or behaviorally. She recommends using diaphragmatic breathing and pranayama, which is alternative breathing or the practice of breath control. The benefits of deep breathing. 7. Do something that makes you happy. When you're feeling anxious and want to take your mind off the stressor, Margot says to carve out time to do the things you love, like riding a bike, reading a book, painting, catching up with friends, taking a bubble bath, treating yourself to your favorite food. 5 types of self-care for every area of life. 8. Consider what your anxiety is telling you. Feeling anxious isn't always a bad thing. In fact, anxious thoughts could be your body's way of giving you valuable information. The next time you feel worried, fearful, stressed, or have overwhelming thought dread, stop and take a deep breath. Instead of defaulting to "this is my anxiety talking," reframe how you view the situation and ask yourself if your body is trying to tell you something. You need to slow down. Maybe you're getting sick, and your body is responding to stress. Or maybe there is a real threat and you need to take action. The benefits of anxiety and nervousness. 9. Talk to a loved one. Sometimes the best thing to do is to call or text a friend, partner, or family member. Maybe you just want to vent, or maybe you want to be distracted for a bit. A loved one can help feel like you're not alone. Shift your attention to something other than the source of your anxiety. Keep in mind that, even though loved ones mean well, they could make anxiety worse, especially if they start freaking out too. So, if you go this route, make sure to choose someone who's calm and won't add to your anxiety. Summary. Occasional bouts of anxiety and worry may just be a sign that you need to take a break and implement some of the strategies listed above. Adding exercise, meditation, diaphragmatic breathing, or worry break into your day may ease your mind. But if anxiety, nervousness, or worrying becomes excessive or begins to impact your life, it might be time to seek professional help. Addiction, alcohol addiction, coping and recovery. Topanax, topiramate, and alcohol, how it works. Buddy T. Buddy T. Buddy T is a writer and founding member of the online Al-Anon Outreach Committee with decades of experience writing about alcoholism. Because he is a member of a support group that stresses the importance of unity at the public level, he does not use his photograph or his real name on this website. Learn about our editorial process. Updated on December 28, 2023. Medically reviewed by Stephen Gans, MD. Alcohol addiction. How the SAM method for alcohol addiction recovery works. By Kendra Cherry, M.Ed. Kendra Cherry. Kendra Cherry, M.S.Ed. Kendra Cherry, M.S., is a psychosocial rehabilitation specialist, psychology educator, and author of the Every Psychology book. Learn about our editorial process. Updated on May 15, 2023. The Sinclair method for alcohol use disorders is a treatment approach that